Welcome to the Grant Writing Simplified podcast. This is the place to learn how to make a big impact in your community through grant writing and nonprofit consulting. The world needs you to step forward as a grant writer and use your skills to lead with confidence. I'm Teresa Huff, former special ed teacher turned grant writer and nonprofit strategist. In my 20 years of freelancing, I've helped nonprofits triple their funding and exponentially increase their reach. Now I'm stepping up to mentor freelancers and nonprofit leaders like you who are ready to take your skills to the next level. It's time to get intentional about your vision so you can create lasting change in your community. Learn the skills and strategies you need to become the grant writer the world needs. Let's do this. Hey friends, welcome to episode 52. I am really excited to kick off this new series in August. We're going to be talking about building your grant writing career, and I'm going to give you some of the business aspects, some tools and tips. I've got some great resources, a couple of guests coming on that are going to be super helpful for you as you're looking at building your career, whether that's as a consultant or working for a nonprofit. I want to make sure that you have the tools you need. This will also give you a sneak peek into the Fast Track to Grant Writer program, and I walk you through some of these step by step, and we really dig deep to talk about which ones would be best for you based on your situation and your budget, and then we map out a plan to help you do that in there. So if you're ready for that extra step and that whole new level of support with this, then come on over to teresahuff.com/VIP and join me in the Fast Track program. Now, as we go through this series this month, I want to answer your questions. So tell me, what's your biggest challenge or frustration when it comes to grant writing? You can email at info@teresahuff.com, or you can message me over on LinkedIn and let me know, what's your biggest challenge with grant writing? I want to make this content as useful as possible for you. I'll link to both of those in the show notes, so make sure you head over there and tell me about your challenges. I can tell you one of the questions I hear the most often is, where do I start? I recommend that you find the shortest distance from point A to point B. You start with taking inventory of your skills, start with what you know, and then make that gap as small as possible. I go through this in more detail back in the Fast Focus Power series in episodes 43 through 46. So you can download that free workbook to really dig into the homework and the steps that I take you through there. As we're going through this month with these tips in August, you may be wondering, should I be an employee with a nonprofit or should I be self-employed as a grant writing consultant? And I weighed out the pros and cons of these in episode 40 and talked through some of the questions you need to consider. So with that aside, also look at what opportunities are available to you. What things are you involved in? What people do you know? And what opportunities are coming up? And sometimes that helps you know your next step. Another question I get, and what we're going to be talking about today, is what kind of technology do I need to get started? Do I need a website? How do I invoice? All the things. It can be kind of overwhelming, right? So I'm going to tell you the top technology tools that I use almost every day in my business and the things that I can't imagine living without now after having used them. And you're kind of lucky because when I started grant writing, we didn't have most of these. And I can't imagine trying to write a grant back before they even had computers, trying to hammer one of these out on a typewriter. That's just kind of blows my mind. So it makes me very thankful for some of these tools now, the way they can keep track of things. They make searches so much easier. So with that said, I want to go through some of these and kind of talk through my reasoning for them and why I use these. Now, first of all, the question of, do I need a website? You can have a website, and that's totally fine, but you don't have to. What I recommend either way, no matter whether you have a website or not, is to get your LinkedIn profile in shape, no matter where you are in the journey, even if you're an established grant writer already. The reason for that is because your LinkedIn profile is probably going to be the very first thing that pops up in the search results when someone Googles your name, even if you already have a website. Your LinkedIn profile is going to pop up ahead of that, so it needs to look the part. What do you want it to convey? What kind of professional image do you want to have on there? If you just took a selfie and threw it up there and popped in your resume and called it good, it probably needs a little polishing. But don't worry, I got your back. In a couple weeks, we're going to be going through that, and I'll give you several tips step by step. So now I want to tell you about some of my favorite tech tools that I use every day to run my business. Now, some of these, I also have referral links that I'll drop in the show notes for you. And that means if you use my link, you can get some extras like a discount or a free trial on something. So it's a great chance to give these tools a test drive if you're thinking about using them. First of all, if you are considering a website, there are several options out there. There's WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, some of the others. I recommend WordPress if you are going to do a website. You'll need a domain name, and you'll also need a website host. And I use A2 hosting, the letter A, the number 2 hosting. I've tried out several different website hosts over the years, and A2 is by far my favorite. I've been with them for several years. Their support is great. They're quick and responsive and super helpful, and they make it really easy to install and use. So if you click through my link there, you can get a really great beginner rate on that. If you're looking for a host, I really recommend giving them a try. Now for storage for documents, I use Google Docs and Dropbox, depending on the situation and depending on the sharing level and if someone else is going to be helping me or not. I probably use Google Docs the most. And if there are documents on my computer, I also back those up separately as well. And I've set a reminder in my phone to do that at least once a month. As for email, I use Gmail for my primary working account, but I also have set up other emails, like you heard me mention info@teresahuff.com, where you can send me your grant writing questions, by the way. And all of those, though, come into my Gmail account. It's easy to set up. Once you have those domain names and you have that host, you can just set those up to all funnel into one place. So then I don't have to go around checking all these different email accounts. They all come into one place, and I can reply from that same account as well. Now, this extra tool that I love is called Boomerang for Gmail. And it's a little add-on that you can get. They have a free and a paid version. But you can schedule your emails to go out at certain times. Like say you're working late at night and you don't want to necessarily cross that boundary with your clients. You want them to know that you're available during normal working hours, and you don't necessarily want to send the message that, hey, you can email me 24/7. Then you can schedule the email to go out and land in their inbox at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Or if they're on vacation, you can have it scheduled so they'll get it next Monday when they get back from vacation. That way it'll be the top of their inbox instead of buried under a week's worth of emails. So it's a great tool. You can also set it so that if no one responds, it'll pop back up as a reminder in your email. So that's been a great tool that I've used for a long time. Now, the next one might sound a little strange, and if you use this, then you'll say, oh yeah, whatever. But if not, this will be life-changing for you. I use my Bookmarks Bar all the time, and you can right-click and edit the names so that you can make it really short or even delete the name itself, so all that's left is the little icon. And then you can have those in your Bookmarks Bar. I've even bookmarked certain spreadsheets that I use all the time, or client documents. And that way I don't have to keep going into Google Drive, trying to find those, digging those out. It's just bookmarked right there and I have it ready to go. So that's been a huge time saver for me. Now for payments, students in the Fast Track program ask me, I don't like accounting. I don't know how to keep track of some of that stuff. And what can I consider as expenses? How do you handle invoicing? I use FreshBooks, which is amazing. I used to use QuickBooks, and that was just too much for me. I didn't need all of that. I just needed a super simple system. So for my business and the type of work I do, I love FreshBooks. And actually, this is one that I do have that referral link in the show notes where you can get a 30-day free trial if you use my link and go give it a test drive. I highly recommend it. It has really great visual graphs right when you log in, so you can see your profit, your income and expenses right off the bat. You can see what invoices are out there pending. It has a time tracker in it, and it's super easy to send an invoice. I mean, we're talking like a couple of clicks. It's emailed, it's done. You can set automatic reminders to go out if someone hasn't paid it yet. You can accept credit cards, all the things. It's so easy. It syncs with your expenses, so you don't even have to add those in. I just think it's been a great system for me. It makes taxes so much less stressful because I can just run a couple of reports and it's good to go. I have also heard of other systems like HoneyBooks and things like that people seem to really like in this realm. I've just always used FreshBooks and I'm super happy with it. So for now, I don't have any reason to change. Now for documents, I mostly use Microsoft Office if I'm working on grant applications. That's because they really are better for tables and some of the technical things like trying to do graphs and make them look nice, or the layouts of those, especially in Microsoft Word. I will use that for the large grants that I'm working on. However, I use a lot of Google Docs and Google Sheets, especially if there's something I'm working on with a team or that I'm sharing. That's really handy to be able to do that. I create spreadsheets that have sort of trackers or deadlines and accountability things on those. And that's great to share with a group. But as far as actually working on a grant itself, if I'm the only one working on it, I'll do that in Word so that I have more customization options with the document and the tables and things. For contracts, I really like using HelloSign so that we can just sign digitally, run it through, get it done. Everybody gets a copy at the end and you're good to go. DocuSign's another one I've used over the years, and they're very similar. For passwords, I started using LastPass, and that's more secure than having things in a Google Doc. It's a lot quicker than having things scattered throughout notebooks. Can you tell I've done that before? And I used to have to dig it up, and I would hate updating my website because it was such a pain to try and track down all those passwords. Some of them were super complicated. I started using LastPass. It's a couple of simple clicks, and it's ready. Makes it so much easier to log in. Now for grant searches, I just recently was introduced to a tool that I've heard of for a long time, but this is new to me and I'm really liking it so far. It's called Instrumental, and it's a grant search tool. It's a tracker. You can get notifications. You can customize it so that it'll notify you of deadlines or well in advance of deadlines so that you can start preparing the application ahead of time. It's basically kind of like a 24/7 grant search on your behalf. It's really cool, and I'll share more about it over the next few weeks as I use it more and as I learn more about the features that it has. But initially, I'm very impressed. It's kind of like the premium tool that anything you could want in a grant search, it's going to be in here. And with this one, you can get $50 off your first month if you use my code GWS50, GWS for Grant Writing Simplified, 50, and you can get $50 off your first month there. I will link to that one in the show notes as well, so you can click through and check that out. That's a quick run through of the tech tools that I use the most. I use other tools from time to time, but those are the core things that I have to run my business. The WordPress with the A2 hosting, Google Docs, Gmail, and Boomerang for Gmail, my Bookmarks Bar, FreshBooks, Microsoft Office, and Google Suite, Google Docs and Google Sheets, HelloSign, LastPass, and Instrumental. Those are some of my favorites, and I will link to everything in the show notes because I know that's quite a bit to take in all at once. But if you're kind of wondering where to even start or what tools to even use, I want to take that overwhelm off and at least help narrow down that playing field a little bit for you so you can keep moving forward and not get stuck on which tool, how do I use this? Shoot me a message if you have any questions. And I do want to hear your questions, especially this month as I'm working on this series to help you with your grant writing business. What's your biggest challenge or frustration when it comes to grant writing? Email me, info@teresahuff.com, or message me over on LinkedIn and let me know. What are your favorite tools in your grant writing that I haven't mentioned today? join me over in the LinkedIn community, Grant Writing Simplified, and tell me over there, what tools do you love to use in your grant writing business? All right, my friends, until next week, go change your world.